I'm Nuri Fisher, president of Piscine Energetics. Also, some of you may know us as PE Mysis. So I've been asked to talk a bit about PE Mysis this afternoon. So some of you may or may not know that Piscine Energetics Mysis shrimp comes from British Columbia, Canada. And there's quite a unique history and story behind PE Mysis. Mysis shrimp was actually an invasive species introduced to the lakes in British Columbia by the Ministry of Environment in the 60s. And the reason for the introduction of this species was to be a food source for a native salmon population which was being overfished, and the population of the salmon in essence crashed. So the concept was to introduce Mysis shrimp, which is high in protein, high in fatty acid, and to provide a food source for these salmon to feed on. Fast forwarding a couple decades, what the Ministry of Environment learned was that the Mysis shrimp were at the bottom of this lake, which is 400 to 500 feet deep, and salmon don't go deeper than 150 feet in the lake. So basically what was happening is the shrimp was down at the bottom of the lake during the day. At nighttime, they were coming up to feed on the phytoplankton, zooplankton, Daphnia, which is in the lake, which was also the same food source which the salmon fry traditionally were eating. And because shrimp were coming up at night, the shrimp were being consumed by the adult salmon. So basically this introduced species, which was supposed to be a food source for the salmon, ended up being more of a pest than a benefit. So the Ministry of Environment was coming up with solutions to remove Mysis shrimp from the lake. So they thought, let's use traditional fishing gear and we'll see if we can remove them. So this diagram behind me shows a little bit about our system. So about a decade or so ago, Piscine Energetics was out harvesting shrimp on the lake and using traditional fishing methodology, which involves a net, towing a net through the water, and then pulling it to the surface. It would result in a catch of shrimp, but we could only harvest the shrimp during the day because we had to stay away from the salmon stocks. What we also learned that was because the Mysis shrimp had such a fine exoskeleton, when one is using traditional fishing gear and the shrimp is accumulating in the back of the net for several hours at a time, the shrimp can actually get damaged and pushed to the back of the net. More so, as I mentioned, the lake is glacial fed, so it is extremely cold. The Mysis shrimp, they're in 5 degrees C or about 45 degree Fahrenheit water at the bottom of the lake. Near the surface, the surface temperature water can be 21, 22, 23 degrees Celsius, or about 75 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So when we used to use traditional fishing gear to harvest the shrimp, what basically would be happening is that when we would go to retrieve this net from this deep cold water up to the surface, while we're now disconnecting the net to then bring the catch aboard the boat, the shrimp are exposed to this warm water, which is at 78 degrees. So you're in essence, cooking or warming up these shrimp. But the real problem we found was when you actually go to lift the shrimp, several hundred pounds or so, in this net up onto the stern of the vessel, the shrimp would just crush apart. So fast forwarding, we were looking at other methodologies. So Piscine Energetics pioneered and patented a sustainable harvesting methodology. To this day, we're the only approved method granted by the British Columbia Ministry of Environment to harvest mysis shrimp at nighttime. So what does that mean and why is that important? And how does that differentiate PE mysis from every other mysis on the market? What's so important about that is the following reasons. Number one, at nighttime is when the mysis shrimp are at the surface feeding on the phytoplankton. So by us being able to harvest the mysis shrimp at nighttime when they're feeding on the phytoplankton, we are truly landing mysis shrimp, which are naturally gut loaded, with this extremely nutrient-rich phytoplankton and zooplankton. Secondly, by developing this harvesting methodology, we were granted the right to harvest the shrimp near the surface when they're feeding on the phytoplankton, but they're also in the same zone as the kokanee salmon, the red zone or the hot zone we call it. Our technology is completely environmentally sustainable in fashion. We can eliminate 100% of our bycatch mortalities using our technology. And a lot of people don't realize the sustainability side of Piscine Energetics. You know, our tagline is sustainable aquatic nutrition. And, you know, talking to retail stores, many who've been our dealers for a decade, and talking to hobbyists who have been using our product and having tremendous success with our product for many, many years, often don't realize the sustainable aspect they're having on the environment. By harvesting the mysis shrimp in such a sustainable manner, you know, hobbyists at their home who are feeding their reef aquariums are actually helping rehabilitate native salmon populations in British Columbia, Canada. One thing which really is that sort of the leading core value of Piscine Energetics is sustainability. And we have actually been the first aquatics manufacturer within the pet industry to join the Pet Industry Sustainability Coalition, which is really a coalition of retailers, manufacturers, who are really committed to sustainability. You know, I don't think there's a hobbyist out there or a retail store owner out there who is a passionate aquarist who isn't concerned about the environment. So apart from all the tremendous nutritional benefits of PE mysis, PE mysis and the technology which Piscine Energetics employs really is a sustainable aquatic food choice for hobbyists around the world. So, you know, moving on from mysis, we've talked about mysis now. We've done that for 10 years, almost 15 years now, single product only. Being in the industry, we thought it was going to be time to bring out another product and something new. So we've recently brought to market PE Calanus. And PE Calanus is a astaxanthin and lipid-rich copepod, which comes from the North Seas. It's about, you know, 1,000 to 1,800 micron in size, so maybe about 1 to 2 mils more or less, and is a great food, you know, for a number of small fish, larval fish, as well as, you know, invertebrates and a wide variety of corals to feed. You know, we have public aquarium institutions who are using it to feed everything from jellies to, as I mentioned, corals to, I could go on and on. But I'll show you the product so you can see what it looks like. So this is the brand new PE Calanus flat pack, which is in a 16-ounce flat pack, which is just being made available to the market now. I know all you hobbyists with your big reef tanks are going to love this one. If you like to keep your hands a little cleaner, we also, of course, have the blister pack, which is in the 4-ounce cubes. And the complete reef feeding program, which Piscine Energetics makes available, is our twin pack. So our twin pack has 4-ounce cube of PE mysis along with 4 ounces of PE calanus for a complete, sustainable aquatic nutrition. You know, again, when I talk about the core concept and the core value of Piscine Energetics and being sustainable, the calanus, which we harvest, or which is harvested in the North Sea, is harvested in a sustainable, really unique fishing methodology at a specific lifetime of the calanus when they're lipid rich, and that's really what gives them this, you know, astaxanthin content. And really, you know, we're about sustainable aquatic nutrition, and those 3 words sum up what we're about. I'm Nuri Fisher from Piscine Energetics. Just want to thank you all for watching this video. I hope you learned a little something about our company and the original mysis from Canada and the sustainable initiatives which our company is taking. Thanks very much. Hope you guys enjoyed what I had to say today.